Hi, this is Stephen Beschloss with America, America.
And I'm Mark Jacob with the Stop the Presses newsletter.
And this is On Target. This week we're going to talk about Terry Moran, his decision to post something on X, and the response that came from it. I want to take a moment to detail what was in that tweet, which he did, which ultimately led to his being fired by ABC News. Let me give you a little detail. It focuses on the idea that both Donald Trump and Stephen Miller are world class haters. Miller is a man, he writes, who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world class hater. You can see this just by looking at him because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Trump is a world class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end. And that end, his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. The response from this happened pretty quickly, and it happened from Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, who claimed that Moran had gone "quote unquote" on a rampage, and then said that his remarks were unhinged and unacceptable, and then said that the White House had reached out to ABC saying that they wanted to know how they plan to hold Terry Moran, their White House correspondent, accountable. Well, what ABC News did was they suspended him. And then a couple of days later, that being yesterday, Tuesday, they came out and said, we're at the end of our agreement with Terry Moran. And in essence, they're firing him. And they said this at ABC News, we hold all of our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism. And we remain committed to delivering straightforward, trusted journalism. Mark, I'll give you the first word on what all that looks and sounds like to you.
Yeah, well, and as a former Metro editor at the Chicago Tribune, I've dealt with these kinds of issues, and I was actually guilty in the past of what I would call performative objectivity, where you just, have one side, you let them speak, you have another side, you let them speak, and you don't really attempt to sort out who's telling the truth and who's lying. And I've repented my sin of that, Stephen. I feel like it's really clear that the job of journalism is finding the facts and delivering those to the public. It's not just repeating whatever lie there is so that
Right.
you look fair. That's not fair. It's not fair to the public. And so my feeling about Moran, he hasn't really explained himself yet, but my feeling is that I think he probably got tired of muting the truth for years of saying of trying to be not take a side so much that he was just not expressing what the facts in front of him, and what he posted, what are the facts in front of all of us.
Yeah. Right. I mean, we're at this moment. Is the job to be "quote unquote" objective, which we know doesn't exist? Do we believe that, the neutral reporter is somehow the best way to inform and educate the public? Or do we think that the public has actually, I mean, where the media, including the legacy media, has a responsibility to tell the truth, and sometimes that means taking a set of facts and analyzing them and then telling people what they all actually mean. And I think what Terry Moran did was, yes, there's sort of commentary, there's analysis that's built into his observations, but they're based on fact and they're truthful. And I think, look, I mean, ABC could have made a decision to suspend him for a few days, saying that he was, not careful in his remarks. You could see that, but the decision to get rid of him, it has a terrible odor about it, and it has a terrible odor because it looks like it capitulated to the White House.
Well,
And
especially
this,
especially Stephen, on the heels of ABC agreeing to pay $15 million to
right,
Trump's presidential library because George Stephanopoulos said something in a lawsuit in which ABC would have won that in court because Trump's a public figure, and just the experts who look at those kind of lawsuits just said that the White House, that Trump didn't really have a case, but he did have the White House, and he did have the ability to squeeze ABC, and that and this Terry Moran thing really show that ABC is in it has capitulated. I think
Yeah.
that I think that they've just decided to go along.
Yeah, and look, again, the larger context of this, as I see it, is if we sort of look backwards, you can surely look at the role of legacy media and its inability to tell the truth consistently over these years. Not to say vividly what's true and what's false, what's right and what's wrong. Not to sort of call lies lies. And surely we're in this predicament right now in our country of this authoritarian takeover. In part because the media chose not to inform the public in a way that would get beyond a simple recitation of the facts. I think that part of it is true, and I think right now there needs to be this kind of resetting, rethinking. I think a new kind of exploration on the part of journalists and journalism about what its responsibilities are, and to sort of lean into this old, I think, time-worn notion of just to report the facts, that you're going to somehow be objective. Well, it's playing into the hands of a despotic regime.
Right, and by this time, people ought to understand Stephen Miller is the architect for the immigration policy that we have, and a real pusher of the great replacement theory that brown skinned people from overseas are coming to steal the freedom of white people in this country. Just crazy racist stuff.
Yeah.
Yet he's got this important position in the White House and obviously has Trump's ear. And calling both of them world class haters is I'm
It's about
sorry.
as factual as
Right.
it could be.
I mean, it seems like an insult or something, but I could spend
I'm
all day.
sure they took pride in it, by the way, at the same time as they were
Yeah,
put.
well,
Yeah,
maybe so. I mean, I could spend all day. I won't, I promise, but I could spend all day citing examples of them being haters, of them then a Muslim ban and this the family separation policy and you name it. I mean, the weird thing is that Stephen Miller seems to really like this
yeah,
stuff. He just
yeah.
likes his cruelty.
I mean, look, it's what Terry Moran said. He eats his hate.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
feeds on it. I mean,
I
I
mean,
think I think that's obvious, but they saw an opening, and I think that's what ABC recognized, that they sort of gave the Trump regime an upper hand here, and so whether we simply want to refer to it as capitulation, or they made a decision that it was a fight that they didn't want to have. Here we are, and look, I hope that we see and hear a lot more from Terry Moran, and now he feels more unfettered to say what he thinks.
right.
And I say there's a welcome space for him in independent media, where he can build an audience of people who actually would benefit from his accurate, credible coverage of current events, and his ability to articulate what's true and what's false. We need more of that, not less.
Yeah, I certainly agree, Stephen.
So thank you. Good to be with you. Looking forward to the next time, Mark.
See you next time.